Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the light catching on an old earthen jar, the surface smoothed by generations of hands. What would that jar tell us if it could speak? Welcome to Ancient Echoes. I'm Sam Nang Bradley, and with me is my co-host, Rachana Solve. In today's episode, we follow the humble clay pot, an object that carries centuries of daily life, trade, and memory.
In today's episode, we're exploring Khmer pottery, how simple vessels, roof tiles, and ritual bowls link households across time. We'll walk from archaeological trenches to village kilns and museum shelves and show what these objects reveal about Cambodian life, past and present. The layers matter. Each shard is a clue.
Let's start with a question. How do archaeologists know that a broken rim found near Angkor was made 900 years ago and not last century? The answer begins with ceramics as durable, datable traces of human activity. Today, we'll unpack the history of Angkor ceramics, the techniques used to make them, and the living craft traditions that keep clay speaking.
Archaeologists prize pottery because it's everywhere and resilient. In excavation reports, you'll find detailed ceramic sequences, layers of deposits, diagnostic shapes, and glaze or slip patterns that help construct a chronology. The research tells us which forms were household staples, which were trade goods, and which carried ritual meaning. This is foundational to understanding everyday life in the Khmer world.
When teams dig near temple complexes or ancient villages, they record stratigraphy, the order of layers, and recover pottery from secure contexts. Typology, or the study of shapes and decoration, links fragments to known time periods. Chemical analysis, like petrography and elemental testing, identifies clay sources and trade networks. So when we say history of Angkor, we're not just talking stones, we're talking jars, tiles, and bowls that lived in kitchens and storerooms.
Consider storage jars, bulky, courseware vessels that held rice, oil, or water. Their clay temper and manufacturing marks reveal local production or import. The cultural significance of Angkor Wat and surrounding sites extends into these everyday objects. The pattern shows us domestic routines and economic connections across regions, sometimes across coasts.
Now, let's get our hands metaphorically dirty and talk materials and techniques. Clay sourcing matters. Potters select clays based on plasticity, color, and local availability. Temper, such as sand, shell, or crushed pottery, controls shrinkage during drying and firing. Wheel-thrown pieces and hand-built vessels leave different fingerprints for archaeologists to read.
Traditional Khmer kilns ranged from simple open firing pits to more complex updraft kilns. Firing temperature and atmosphere affect the final color and hardness. Gray-burned wares, oxidized red wares, or slipped and glazed pieces all tell a technological story. The research shows gradual innovations across centuries, sometimes reflecting contact with maritime trade or neighboring workshops.
To illustrate, in some Angkorian contexts, archaeologists find fine, wheel-made stoneware fragments, hard, dense ceramics likely fired at higher temperatures. Nearby, you might find low-fired coarse storage jars, hand-built with grit temper. These contrasts indicate specialized production and different uses, tableware versus storage, urban versus rural manufacture.
Let's unpack common forms through time. You'll encounter spouted pouring vessels, lidded storage jars, roof tiles stamped with maker's marks, and small offering bowls. Each form serves a function: storage, cooking, serving, or ritual placement. The meaning runs deep when we connect shapes to contexts: temples, markets, kitchens.
Roof tiles are a great example. Mass-produced in workshops, but vital to understanding building practices. Their shapes and firing styles help date structures when written records are sparse. Storage jars, often undecorated, are practical, but their distribution maps household economy and trade routes. The history of Angkor includes these everyday technologies as much as it includes temples.
Now imagine a contemporary pottery village. Apprentices learn by watching. by molding clay with fingers and palms, by remembering the right moment to close a vessel's rim. The elders taught us that technique is passed slowly, through doing. This is how Khmer pottery remains alive, not as frozen tradition, but as practiced skill.
Portraits of living makers show adaptation. Some potters reproduce historic forms for tourists or museums. Others innovate, combining traditional clays with new glazes or creating functional wares for modern kitchens. Craft revival projects and social enterprises often support potters while documenting techniques so that this intangible heritage survives. This matters because it links material heritage to livelihoods.
We must be careful not to romanticize. Makers are contemporary agents, balancing economy, creativity, and heritage. The evidence shows makers negotiate markets, tourism, and conservation priorities. Consider how museums display ceramics. Context is everything. A jar on a plinth is informative, but a jar in a kitchen tells a different story about use and meaning.
Beyond technique, pottery carries memory. Families associate certain vessels with births, weddings, or seasonal rites. There are songs and local names for shapes and methods, oral knowledge that helps an archaeologist tie a fragment to a living practice. The intangible traditions preserved in songs and stories connect objects to people.
If you visit markets or museum collections, look actively. Note clay color, surface finish, and marks where a potter's thumb closed a rim. Ask questions. Who made this? Where did the clay come from? Museums and local craft centers often provide context. The pattern we see across artifacts and living practices reveals continuity and change.
We want to hear from you. Share photos of Cambodian pottery you found or admired, market finds, heirlooms, or museum pieces. Tag them with hashtag Ancient Echoes and include where you took the picture. If you're curious about respectful collecting, remember, provenance matters. Don't remove objects from sacred places and consult local experts before making purchases.
To recap, pottery is a material key to Cambodian history. From archaeological methods that date fragments, to the technologies of temper and firing, to living potters shaping contemporary practice, each piece helps reconstruct daily life, trade, and cultural continuity. The deeper story is how objects, people, and memory interlock.
If this episode inspired you, follow Ancient Echoes on your favorite podcast app and visit my co-host Sam Nang Bradley's YouTube channel for visual tours of village kilns and museum displays. Share your photos on social media, tag @AncientEchoes, and tell us what pottery stories you've encountered. Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes. We hope these stories helped you see Cambodian history and culture in a deeper, more human way. If this episode resonated with you, please follow Ancient Echoes and share it with someone who might appreciate these conversations. Until next time, thank you for listening.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair on my sight this way. Warm, sacred power, sway, mighty spirit awakened. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, oh teacher. teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred power, Swahai.